Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be learning how to make this top. So it was inspired by a post I saw on Instagram and then I decided to recreate it. So rate my recreation. If this is what you love to learn, continue watching. So I am now on Facebook as Dress to Fit by Lillian. So with time I'm going to be going live on Facebook and then we are going to be learning some of the things that I am unable to do here. So do well to follow me on Facebook. Let's get started. So for material, I work with 1.5 yard of shirt material. So let's dive right into pattern drafting. From the top of my paper, I'm going to come down by 2 inches. As you can see, I'm making use of my ruler width and it's 2 inches. So this is the top line. This side is going to be the front of the pattern, while this side is going to be the back. So from the back part, I'm going to go in by 1.5 inch. That is exactly what I'm marking, which I'm going to use as my zipper allowance later on. So from the top of my pattern paper now, I'm going to come down by my chest line, which is 8 inches. So as you can see, I am marking 8 inches. So this is going to be my chest line. After my chest line, I'm going to mark my bust point, which is 10 inches. So just as you can see me do, I'm marking 10 inches as my bust point. So I will label that out. And then I'm also going to come down by 13 inches, which is my under bust line. So whatever your under bust measurement is, also mark it out and label it out as well as your under bust. So after that, the next line I'm going to mark is my half length, which is my shoulder to my waistline. As you can see, I am marking 16 inches. So this is my front shoulder to my waistline or half length. For my waist to hip length, I'm going to come down by 9 inches from my waistline. So just as you can see, I am marking 9 inches. I will rule this and then label it out as my hip line. I will go over to the back. I'm going to mark my back half length, which is 14.5 inches. In case you don't know your back half length, take your tape over to your shoulder and then take it to your waistline at the back. So mine is 14.5 inch. That is what I just mark out and then I labeled. Then from that point, I'm also going to come down by 9 inches as my waist to hip line, just like I did at the front. This is it. So the difference is what I am going to use as my side dart. All right, so I'll come over to the front now. I'm going to come down by 3 inches as my neck depth and then the width 3 inches. Then I'll go ahead and then use my curve ruler to create my neckline like so. Then I'm going to impute my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 7. I'll mark it on my shoulder line, then my chest line, then connect a straight line to meet the other one at the top line, then come down by 1.5 inch as my shoulder slants. Then after doing that, I'm going to find the midpoint of what I have left by folding my tape into 2. I'm going to mark and then go in by 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead and then connect it back to my shoulder slant. Then after doing that, I will divide my round bust circumference by 4, then mark it on my chest line, then connect it back to the 1/2 inch I went in with at my midpoint like so to create my armhole. So my waist circumference divided by 4, I'm going to mark it on my waistline. Then I'm going to add extra 1 inch. This will be my dart replacement. So after doing that, I'll come over to my hip line, then mark my hip circumference divided by 4. I'll go ahead and then connect these 2 points together. On my waistline, I'm going to go in by 4 inch, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, and then mark it on my bust point also. Then mark it on my hip line, as you can see. Then I'm going to go ahead, connect these whole points together. Then on my hip line, I'll go up by 2 inches. I'll come over to my waistline. Remember, I actually replaced just 1 inch, but I'm going to be taking in 1.5 inch. So I'm going to fold 1.5 inch into 2. Then whatever I have is what I'm going to mark on my waistline as my dart intake. So I'll go ahead and connect to my bust point, and then I'll bring it down to that 2 inches on the hip line. What this means is that I am cinching with just 1/2 inch. So on my under bust, I'm going to mark 0.75. so I marked 0. I actually marked half inch here, but I think the contour is not enough. I had to change it to 0.75. so at this point I wasn't satisfied, so I changed it to 0.75 or 0.6 inches. All right, so I'm going to reconnect it like so. I prefer what I have now, even if it's just a little difference, but it's actually kind of better than what it was before. So I'm just going to connect everything back to my waistline like so. Then I'm going to, the difference, like I said before, I'm going to use it as my side dart. So to get your side dart is the difference between your front and back pattern. So I'll come over to my shoulder line and then find the midpoint by folding my tape also into 2. Then I'll connect it back to my bust point like so. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to come over. At this point, I'm going to take half inch from both sides. Then I will blend it back into my bust point. So after doing that, I want my shoulder width to be 2 inches. So that is where my 2 inches stop. So I will connect it back to my chest line like so. All right, so I want the shoulder width to be just 2 inches. So the difference is what I just marked now, connected to my chest line. So I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch from my chest line to cover this up a bit, because I don't want to reveal too much. That is why I'm going up by 1.5 inch. If you are not okay with my finished look, you can do more than this. So from this point now, the contour we have, I'm going to take it up and then take it direct to my shoulder, as you can see. So this is going to be off for now. So after doing that, remember to mark where your chest line stop, and then we are going to also fold into 2 just to be sure that the line is straight enough. So I'm going to go ahead now and then add half inch round. So this is going to be my allowance. At the side, I'm going to add just 1 inch. Remember, when it comes to side seam, individual differences, whatever you wish to add as your side seam, you can go ahead and then add it. For me, I work with 1 inch. So for the length I want for my top, from my waistline, I'm going to come down by 3 inches. Remember, you can always do whatever you want. So I work with 3 inches from my waistline. So this is what I want as my top length. So if you want it longer, you can come down more than this. So this is the side front, this is the center front, and this is our dart. This is going to be off. So this is what we have for the front. We are going to head over to the back now. For the back, we are maintaining the same neck width. For the depth, mark 3 inches for now. We're actually working with more than this. Just mark it for now and then repeat your shoulder measurement. Mine is 7. I'll mark it on my top line and then my chest line. I'll connect it together, then come down by 1.5 inch as usual as my shoulder slants, then connect it back to my neckline, and then I'm going to find the midpoint of what I have left by folding my tape into 2. I'll mark, then go in by 1/2 inch. I'll connect it back to my shoulder slants, and then this is what I have. And then on my chest line, I'm going to mark my round ball circumference divided by 4. My waistline, the same thing, my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch. Then my hip circumference divided by 4. I'm going to go ahead and then create my armhole by connecting like so. Then connect from my waist to my chest line, then from my waist also to my hip line. Then after doing that, I'll go in on my waistline by my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. I'll mark it on my chest line also, then bring it down to my hip line as well. So I'll go ahead and connect these 2 points together like so. For my back dart, I'll repeat the same thing, 0.75 as my dart intake. Then I'll connect everything together just as you can see me do now. And then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go in by 1 inch from my dart point and then connect it to 2 inches width on my shoulder, just like I did at the front. So this is what I have now. So this part is going to be off. This is going to be my neck depth. So I'm going to be working with my chest line as my neck depth. So at this point, I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch on my waistline. This is going to be to avoid bulging. So remember, I actually already cinched by 1/2 inch, so I will have to replace this 1/2 inch I took on the waistline. So that is what I just did now. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to come down by 3 inches from my waistline, and then go ahead and add my seam allowance. This is actually my zip allowance. I added 1 inch. Then for the rest of the allowance at the side, I'm going to add 1 inch. Then for my armhole is going to be 1/2 inch as usual. Then the shoulder line is going to also be 1/2 inch. When you are done adding the whole necessary allowance, go ahead and then carefully cut out. So this is it for the whole pattern. We are going to go ahead and then close the side darts of the front pattern. So make sure you close the side darts just as you can see with your paper tape, like so. So after closing it, what we are going to do, we are going to trace it out in another pattern. All right, so this is actually because of the method I use in achieving this style. So we need to have two of the front pattern. So remember to actually trace out all your lines inside and then mark it out. So we are doing the same thing to the center front. This is it for the center front. I went ahead to add 1/2 inch allowance, so I'll go ahead and then cut out as you can see. So the next thing we are going to do now is to bring it together. You are going to use your masking tape and then you are going to tape it together. So while at it, please don't overlap it. All right, don't overlap, just carefully bring it together. Use your tape to hold it. So this is the technique I actually used to recreate this style, because I'm not the original creator, so I just try to like think of the best way to actually achieve it. So the only way I could actually think of that I think was actually used was this, so I had to use the method. So this is it. This is what we have. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other pattern. With this is actually the current method. With this you can actually use it to cut out a cup, like normal bra cup, and then use it to make a cup corsets. So I repeated the same thing on this other side. So this is what we have. So what we are going to do now is this. I actually start before. I didn't know it wasn't filming, so I have to put it back. All right. So what I did, I added extra paper and then I styled. So I noticed I didn't film, so I have to restyle it. So you can see, remember the chest line went up by 1.5 inch, so you can see I didn't change anything. I have to just tape it back. So what you are going to do now, from your chest line you are going to come down by 1.5 inch. So it's actually the same thing that I did before, so I have to repeat it because I didn't notice that my phone actually stopped filming. My camera stopped filming. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to reconnect. So from your chest line, that is our previous chest line, come down by 1.5 inch and then blend. All right, the 1.5 inch we went up with, come down by that inches at the center front of one side of the pattern, then blend. All right, we are going to blend as you can see me do in this video carefully. So this is what we have now. what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1/2 inch as my seam allowance. So I added extra paper there before actually styling, so do well to do the same so that you have enough space to actually add your seam allowance. So this is what I have. I'm going to cut out the excess there that I won't be needing. So just as you can see, I've already done that. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to take off the 1/2 inches I added at the side of the pattern because it's no longer necessary actually. After going through the style, I don't think I need 1/2 inch on this side of the pattern, so I added extra paper at the down. I'm going to come down by 2 inches at the center front, and then I'll blend it back to the side. All right, I came down by 2 inches at the center for blend it to the side. Then at this point I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch, and then I'll connect it like so, as you can see. All right, so this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and then cut out like so. So this is what we have for the side. I'll set it aside. Then I'll come over here. I'm going to also take off this 1/2 inch that I added. So on this side of it, I'm going to need about 2.5 inch. So we are going to bring in another pattern paper, and then you are going to mark extra 2.5 inch on this side instead of the 1/2 inch that we added before. So go ahead and then mark 2.5 inch. So when you mark your 2.5 inch, connect. So something actually happened. My phone actually stopped filming. Like I was having space issue and then I didn't know. So there's no cause for alarm, guys. I just added the 2.5 inch like I told us on this side of the center front. I didn't do anything to the other side apart from slash. So thank God I was here to actually slash this side when I realized it. So I'm going to use this side to show us what I did on the other side. So what you are going to do, you can mark out 1 inch from the center front. You can actually mark randomly. All right, so we are just trying to release the tension around here. That's the bust area. So that's all that we are trying to do. So go ahead and then slash, as you can see me do. You can slash randomly. You can mark 1 inch and then slash. So that is actually the same thing I did on the other side. Remember, we were already through with that side, and what we were about to do here was just to add the 2.5 inch. So that's the only thing I did. I just added 2.5 inch, and then I mark out this line. You can do 1 inch, you can mark randomly. So whichever way, just make sure you release the tension around the bust area. So this is what we have. It's the same thing I did on this side of it. So we are going to go over and then cut out on our fabric. So just go ahead and then pin down, as you can see me do. So pin down, and then at the side, make sure you also pin down as well. So when it comes to the space I actually added, you can see what I'm doing, that I actually did it randomly. I didn't really have like specific inches that I used. So I just spread it open, and then that is actually all. Because of, remember, we actually had to release the tension around the bust area. So with that, when it comes to within the bust area, you cannot actually like determine what inches to use, because you can see how it is shaped. So you just have to like try to spread it open as much as you can, or however you want, and try to also cut close to the side seam so that you can actually spread it open very well. So when you're done, you are going to go ahead and then pleat. Remember, what we are doing is actually slash and spread. So we need to cover up the space. So just as you can see me do now, just pick and then pleat to the next one and pin down. So you can see what I'm doing, that I'm actually doing it from the bottom to the top. So if you don't want it this way, you can start from the upper side and then pleat it downward instead of upward like I'm doing. But I actually prefer doing it upward because I feel like this will actually be better. That is actually how I felt. So I don't know. Regardless, whatever you want, whatever you wish to do. If you prefer pleating downward, pleat downwards. If you prefer what I'm doing, then pleat upward. All right, so this is it. I'm just going to continue repeating the same thing. Please carefully pleat. All right, so you might likely not find this easy because of how it is shaped, but in order for you to do it very well, just try and make sure you pin each point down, so this will make it easier for you. When you're done, just go ahead and then cut out, as you can see me do. I am going to set it aside, then I'll repeat the same thing on this side. So exactly the same thing we did. Just go ahead, pin down, spread it open, then pleat and then cut out. What you're going to do now, go over to your machine, and then the point where we pleat the center front, you are going to hold it down. All right, when you're done, iron it out before you remove your pattern. We are doing the same thing to both pieces. All right, make sure you iron before you remove your pattern. So this is the back piece already also cut out. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove my pattern. I'm going to be joining by 1/2 inch, so just our normal way of joining. Place it right side facing the right side, then go ahead and then join by 1/2 inch. All right, so just go ahead, join by 1/2 inch. I'll go ahead and do that and then bring the whole piece back. So this is it. As you can see, I am done doing that. As you can see, this is it for the front piece, and then this is it for the back piece. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use my bias, and then I'm going to turn the whole edges with bias. You can actually use interfacing if you want to, or if that is what you prefer, but for me, I use bias to turn the whole edges. So both front and back, I will do just that, and then I'll bring it back. So go ahead and do the same. So this is it. After doing that, this is it for the front. As you can see, I already turned the whole piece with bias, both front and back. All right, so what we are going to do now is we are going to cut out a strap. So what I have here is roughly 2 inches width. So hem both edges and then make ruffle with it. So what we are going to do, we are going to attach it here. So what we are going to do is to first of all stitch down like so, and then turn it also and top stitch it. So I will do that and then bring it back. So this is it. As you can see, I actually went in by a few inches and then I stitched. So what I'm going to do now is to place this on it. Remember how we actually cut? Remember we went down by 1.5 inch. So you are going to place this other side at exact 1.5 inch, and then remember we actually added 2.5 inch extra to this side. So you are going to top stitch it at exact 2.5 inch. Make sure whatever you have on this side doesn't exceed 2.5 inch, because that was what we actually added. So what I'm going to do now is to go over to my machine and then top stitch. So while at it, make sure you take note of your shoulder. All right, make sure your shoulder are both aligning. You can see what I'm doing. So make sure your shoulder is aligning. When you are done, go ahead and then top stitch. So I will do just that, and then after doing that, what I'm going to do is to also join my back piece. So just join it at the shoulder and then at the side. Do the same thing here, and then go ahead and fix your zipper. So I will do that and then bring it back. So this is it. As you can see, I am done fixing my zipper, and then I join at on the shoulder and then at the side. So this is what I have. So for the sleeve, I actually cut out a length of 8 inches. So as for the width, it depends on the fullness you want. Just turn it down with elastic and then make ruffle with the other side, and then attach it around your armhole on your top. So this is it. After doing that, this is it for this video. If you find it helpful, please like, comment and share. I will see you in my next video. Bye.